Hello everyone, Gigraptor here, and today we're looking at JSON, or JavaScript Object Notation. Now this is a really good scripting language, and it can be used in all kinds of programs for defining specifically variables and objects for you, so you can load them directly into your program. Now, this is part of my one of my projects that I'm going to be uploading to this channel soon. It's turn-based strategy, and I basically discovered this in the summer, and I've been learning, and I learnt it in about a day, and I've been basically using that for the game. So I thought I'd show you how it works. So I'm not going to cover how to install any of the kind of software for running it, but what you basically need to know is that this will run natively inside of a lot of browsers. So I think it's Windows Internet Explorer 8 Plus will run this, and Firefox 3.5. There's more specific things in the Wikipedia article, obviously, so you can look there. But for native languages, it's a lot more difficult. The language I use, which is called C, there is something called Jansson, and I think it has other bindings to other languages as well. And it basically allows you to utilize this from C, as I just pretty much made clear. So you install that. I will do a tutorial on it specifically if you're interested. But vote with your comments. If you want it, I'll teach it. But I'll teach the basics of the language here and cover why you should use it. So first of all, why would you use it? So basically, I would use this over pretty much any other language like XML or writing your own, because it's very simple to understand. So as you can see, you've got the names here and you've got your definitions here. I'll go over them more in a minute. And as opposed to something like this, which I wrote myself for one of my older projects, it's called AWOG2. If you want to look at my GitHub, it will be in the channel description. So this is one of my really old projects. I think I must have been about 14, 15 when I wrote this, and didn't use anything like that. I just created my own scripting language, so it writes everything in there and it will load this. But this is a much better system, obviously, because it's much easier to read. You are able to comment it, but I don't use any comments here because I couldn't be bothered to insert them, and they're pretty self-evident. So you can tell what it is and what damage and ranges are just from the title alone. It's quite self-evident. Yeah, so I quite like using it. But so first of all, it's important to establish what you can do with these variables. Now, you can do three things with these variables from what I can tell. You can create numbers. These can also be floating point, so you can do 3.14159 or something for pi. You can do strings, like this, so conscripted soldiers transported across thousands of miles from home. And you can also do objects, which I don't show here. And basically how these work is they're kind of like unions, I think, in C. I don't really use unions, so I'm not really too certain, but basically you can define something in here. So I don't know, gun, and you'll go like this, and you can type whatever you want. So I don't know, caliber or something. Yeah, so something like that. There we go. So that covers basically what you can do. There are probably more, but there is nothing I really use. I'm talking from a perspective of pragmatic knowledge of the language. There's not really much to it other than that. So basically how you go about writing a JSON file is you will start with these square brackets. This contains kind of an array of different objects you want to put in there. And then we'll produce our objects inside of it. And now you declare these just between these squiggly brackets right here. Let's point at the screen. And then to delimit between them, you use a comma. So if you want to do that, you need to create another one. Now, an important thing to note: at the end of the last object, or the last field within your object or attribute or whatever you want to call it, if you do databases, you do not leave a comma. It's kind of a bit like SQL, if you've ever used that. So what you do is you declare variables within it, and you can load them into your program. Not sure how it's done in JavaScript. Not sure how it's done in the web languages, because I don't do web. But within C, you load the array of them from like a text file. You access the specific objects, and then you access the attributes from within that. So Now, I suppose you're probably thinking, if you didn't already pick up from the unit data file, how the fuck do I declare my my fields? So it's very simple how you do it. So you take these the speech marks and you type in the name of your field. So call it sample, for example. And to define these, you very simply just put a colon and then you type the value. So 1, 2, 3, for example. Or we're going to do sample 2. For that, you might want a string. So we do this. We do hello. And as I already demonstrated, also noting the fact that there will be no comma on the end of this because this is all I'm writing. Noting back from the end of this, like the other thing I showed you how to do objects, so you know how to do that. But you know what, I'm just going to clarify anyway. So sample 3, you do that. Colon, bish, bash, bosh. And then you type all of that in there. And you can do this kind of nested within each other, so I'm not sure how far it goes on, but you can pretty much do it as much as you logically will want to. Because if you're doing anything over 5, I think you should probably reconsider your design. Because why on earth would you want to have it like this, like that within, like, I don't know, we'll do an example. Why would you want this? You know, notwithstanding that, like, obviously that can't work. Well, it can work, but it's like pretty fucking ugly. Like, not like obviously ignoring the fact that there's no indentation here, but it's obviously pretty damn ugly. I mean, this wouldn't work anyway because there's like 2 conflicting fields. But beside the point, you want to keep it as like unnested as possible if you can, because that helps with a lot of the design. So, just to review, you type this sample. You type your title of your variable. And then you proceed. Proceed with the value. That simple, and that's why it's so brilliant, because I can just cover it really quickly right here. If you are interested in the game that I'm writing, I will be uploading a video on it pretty shortly. I think probably sometime at the weekend. As for Jansson or using it with C, request it in the comments. You know, if you want that, I'll make it. It would be relatively simple. It would probably be about as long as the End Curses series is, which is pretty short, so maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 tutorials to get like the basics down, because that's all that the End Curses really is. It's getting the basics down, because there's a lot more complex features in End Curses that I never used, and I don't think many people would ever really use, because like if you're writing like a proper graphical user interface, you're going to probably want to be using like a windowed one right now. So anyway, thanks you lot for watching. And I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.